Welcome, Lord Eldritch. Greetings, lady. We meet again at last. I got your message. What did you want to talk about? I've fought for a long time. I've crushed many enemies underfoot. I've conquered all who dared oppose me. Yes, I've heard much about your conquests. However, it is time for these old bones to rest. But there's still so many battles to be fought, Lord Eldritch. Yes, and perhaps one day I shall leave my throne to fight more battles. But for now, I must retire. It's a shame, really. You were the only thing keeping us safe from combo decks. Yes, they came at me over and over, one after the other. They kept comboing and comboing and comboing, but I was able to fend them off. Yes, I remember reading all the stories. When I was a little girl, I looked up to you, you know. Good, my child. Now it is time. You are ready for the next step. You must carry on the fight without me. That's a lot to ask, but I'll try my best. I'll be sure to carry on your legacy so that all will remember your name. Good. May the Lord of the heavenly prison watch over you in your battles to come. Yes, praise the Lord. Now I will return to my golden land. From there I will watch your triumphs, as you have watched mine. I'll try to make you proud, Lord Eldritch. Yes, my dream of covering the world in gold lives on. Perhaps one day I will return to join you in the fight. But until then, farewell. Let's see how she does. Wow, it's all up to me now. I'll take everything I've learned from him and use it on the field of battle. Sorry to bother you, mistress, but the Tearlaments are back. They're on the attack. Very well, Ariana. It's time to suit up and start keeping those combo decks in check. Now let's go face them. Together. Hey everyone, it's your boy Matt. I'm here today with a very special video for you. This is my very first non-Master Duel video in a while. This is my TCG, that's right, my Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Labrynth deck profile. Undefeated, in-depth. I got you a profile. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this. It's been a while since I put out my last one. I think the last ones I put out was like Eldritch or Flu. Those were back in the days before the Ishizu cards came out. I already brought you the Master Duel list for Labrynth, right? I posted that today, or if you're watching this video when it actually uploads, I guess yesterday, right? I decided that the same day that I did that, I went to locals. So I took Labrynth to. So this is the 4th locals I've ever been to since the Ishizu cards came out, right? So in this Ishizu tier 0 format, this is the first local, 4th locals. So the very first locals I went to was on so my locals does this thing called Jank format. Jank format is like a modified ban list where like everything meta is banned, like Tears banned, Sprites banned, Bestial's banned, like all the Floodgates are banned, almost all the hand traps are semi-limited. There's like this really long and complicated ban list in Jank format, but that's supposed to be more for fun, less competitive, right? So I did go to that locals, I did go undefeated there. I did play Labrynth in that one, right? Minus all the cards that were banned, right? I did do well, but you know, again, it was Jank format. It was not real Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG format, right? I also, then the next 2 times I went to locals, I went with a Crystal Beast deck. That's right, I built a Crystal Beast deck. I feel like Crystal Beast deck is sleeper OP right now in the current format. It's really good. Unfortunately, I did not go. I think I got 2nd place at both those locals where I took Crystal Beast. So, you know, still work in progress. You know, not fully confident in posting that deck profile yet. But don't be surprised if sometime in the next month or so I end up posting a Crystal Beast TCG deck profile, because Crystal Beast is really good and they're getting new support out the wazoo. Speaking of new support out the wazoo, Labrynth is getting new support in Photon Hypernova, right? They're getting a new in-archetype trap called Big Welcome Labrynth, which is going to be great. And they're getting a new trap card that's not archetype, but it's a normal trap card, so it's going to be searchable and stuff. It's just amazing. It's called like Wave Balancing, I think, in the OCG. It's insane. So yeah, this deck is going to be full power next year, and for those of you who haven't been living, who's been living on a rock, yeah, Tearlaman's got gutted in the OCG. So OCG just released a ban list that just nuked everything, nuked the format, nuked Bestials, Sprite, Tearlaments, Kashtira, Flu, everything got nuked, but not our lovely Labrynth deck here, right? And if the TCG is anything like the OCG, which oftentimes it is, I suspect within the next 3 to 6 months we'll probably get hopefully a similar list where everything gets nuked, and yeah, and then Labrynth might actually be like a top, the actual top deck. It'll be at full power. We won't have to play around the stupid Ishizu Ishizu Tearlaments anymore. It's gonna be great. So as you saw in my little intro I did in this video, so I've as I mentioned before, my Eldritch deck is retired. I'm no longer playing a Master Duel. I'm no longer playing the TCG. I unsleeved all the cards. I mean, obviously they kept their inner sleeves, but for the most part they're back in their binders. Eldritch. Unfortunately, cannot really play in the current format. Bestials banish Eldritch, right? You have 2 Eldritch, one of them gets banished, or both of them, like you're screwed, right? Like there's Ishizu Tearlaments where the Ishizu cards can literally bounce Eldritch back from the graveyard into your deck, and then you can't revive it from the graveyard after you spent a card. It's a disaster. It's no bueno. It's no bueno right now. It's not good to play Eldritch. So as much as I enjoyed our time together playing Eldritch, as much as it won me many tournaments, I topped regionals with it, right? I wanted to take it to nationals this upcoming year, 2023, but alas, I think this will probably be the deck I end up piloting to nationals. Unfortunately, it's had to go because let's be real here, the Labrynth is just full on power creep. It's just a better control deck. There are some things that Eldritch still do better, but for the most part, this is a better deck. So, unfortunately, we have to retire Eldritch. So do not expect any more Eldritch content from me anymore. And don't ask because I'm not gonna like. Let's go. We're going out on a high note, right? Like last time I played Eldritch was before the Ishizu cards came out, right? I got a first place finish in against Danger, Tearlaments, and Sprite back when it was a thing, right? Let's just leave it at that. Go off on a high note. It did its job. It's won me plenty of games. Got me to Diamond 1 on Master Duel many times, right? So it's good. Like let him rest. Let the Eldritch rest. It's his much needed, well deserved rest. Today, so same day I posted, I dropped my Master Duel Labrynth deck. I hit 3,000 subscribers. Holy shit! I did not expect to reach 3,000 so quickly. And since you know me, I love memes, and I always post meme videos when I'm doing. Whenever I reach 1K subscribers, 2K subscribers, 1K subscribers, 2K subscribers, I released a meme video. I do have a meme video that I'm going to post for my 3K subscriber celebration. If not the same day, like today that this video drops, maybe like the next day. We'll see. I'll figure out the schedule. But yeah, so thank you all so much for subscribing and for watching my channel and for giving me clicks and money. I like money. But I don't do it for the money, obviously. I do it because I'm passionate about Yu-Gi-Oh! I love playing control decks, and I'm just someone who enjoys explaining and talking stuff. My dream job, if money didn't matter, I would be a teacher or professor, right? But instead, I sold out and I work a high-paying white-collar job at an engineering company because more money for less of my time. But eventually, I do enjoy teaching, so and talking and thinking and theorizing about stuff. So that's why I do this. It's not about the money. It's about the passion, the actual experience. Anyway, so without further ado, went to locals. So I went to 3 locals, which were I wasn't really tryharding, right? I went to Jank format. It was fun. I went to as Crystal Beast. I was play testing with Crystal Beast, trying to get that to work, kind of fucking around with it. This was the first locals I decided to go because I'm tryharding. So to tryhard, I've been playtesting Labrynth online a lot on Yu-Gi-Oh! Omega. And I've been having a decent amount of success, especially against Ishizu Tearlaments, which is the big boss deck that you have to be able to beat, right? So I decided, what, I'm gonna take, today's Monday, right? I took my this deck to locals. I built it, right? And I went undefeated. And surprising, so this locals, so before the Ishizu cards came out, on average, my locals had around 22 to 24 players per each time. the last two locals I went to where I played Crystal Beast, not in Jank format. So Jank format's always popular. There's always like 30 plus players, right? But the last two times when I took Crystal Beast to actually play like Master Rules like TCG, right? There were like between 12 and 16 players. Like the population of my locals definitely decreased ever since the Ishizu like tier 0 tier limits tier 0 format thing came out, and yeah, there was a noticeable drop. But today I actually went to locals and there were like 30, maybe even more people. There were a lot of people, and yeah, I went undefeated. So I'm very happy about that. And it was actually very diverse number of decks. So I saw like at least four Ishizu tier limits that I could verify, right? Like decks that I actually saw people playing. At least like three sprites. I think there was an adventure sprite variant. There was a pure sprite, and there was an evil twin sprite, if I recall correctly. At least one one of each. I saw an Umi control deck. I was one of three Labrynth decks that I could see so I wasn't the only one playing Labrynth. I saw an Umi control. I saw like two Sword Souls, like straight up like 10E Sword Souls. People still playing that. I saw like an adventure punk deck. That's still apparently still a thing. I saw Exo Sisters. I saw Branded Bestials. I saw Naturia. So yeah, like it was a very good. It was a surprisingly diverse mix of decks. However, the top table was like me, Labrynth, two Ishizu tier, and a Runic Naturia. There's like Bestial Runic Naturia deck, right? So one of the dudes at the top table was playing Runic Bestial Naturia. I didn't play him though, but but I did play the Ishizu tier elements. So the top table was one Labrynth, like the top four, one Labrynth, one Ishizu tier, two Ishizu tier, and one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so it was like Naturia, Runic Naturia, right? Anyway, and in fact, for my final game, I did have to play Ishizu tier limit. So funny enough, I 2-0'd everybody except my final matchup. My final matchup, I went 2-1 against the final Ishizu tier player. The 2-0s against my other opponents, they were stomps. It was not close at all. Like it was, like this deck is great. It's so good. Like playtesting online, my main focus was like build this deck, make it good against the Ishizu tier, right? Ishizu tier is the deck to beat. All other decks, like whatever, right? But this actually did really well against other decks. I played Sprite, I beat Sprite, right? 2-0 Sprite player, right? So yeah, I was actually quite happy with this build, and I think that if you run this build, you'll have success as well. So let's get into the build. I'm going to break it down slightly differently than my previous TCG builds. Rather than showing all monsters and all spells and all traps, I'm going to show you like the core of the deck first, the Labrynth Core, and then I'm going to run through the rest of the deck as like monsters, spells, traps, right? So core of the Labrynth deck, we play 3 Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle. So this is our primary boss monster. This card is insane. Look at this card. It is nuts how good this card is. So level 8, 3,000 attack, 2,900 defense. Now compare this boss monster with, like, for example, when we used to play Eldritch. Eldritch was 2,500 attack, 2,800 defense. So clear power creep here, right? We gained 500 attack and we gained 100 defense. Plus, unlike Eldritch, so Eldritch, has a hand effect where, you can send him and a trap or spell that you have from your hand to the graveyard to target a card on field, send it to the graveyard, and then a graveyard effect where he revives and summons himself at 3,500, right? So we run 3 Lady Labrynth. So we ran 2 Eldritch because we really, really, really did not want to see Eldritch in the hand. Like that was Eldritch in the hand felt really bad. Because again, we're playing a control deck, right? Control decks do not like discarding cards. So even Eldritch's hand effect, which sends itself plus another card to the graveyard. Technically it takes out one of their cards, but you're still discarding a card, and unless you're discarding like a Golden Land or an Elixir trap, like it's not. It still felt kind of bad, right? Lady Labrynth, let's read this effect. She's insane. So she has a hand effect and a field effect. Yes. So this reads, let's get a good zoom there. Oh, and by the way, I'm running So remember, with Eldritch, I was running golden sleeves with a crimson on the extra deck. Here we're running silver sleeves with white on the extra deck, and because Golden Lord, Golden Land, Lady, Silver Castle, right? So we went from gold to silver, but we actually upgraded in power. Her ability says, while you control a set card, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So just having back row, like set cards, makes it so that they literally can't out this card without battle, right? Can't be targeted, can't, or like I guess an untargeted banish or bounce, right? So that's its continuous effect, right, on the field. Okay, so you can only use each of the following effects of Lady Labrynth once per turn. So if a Labrynth card or effect or a normal trap card was activated this turn, except for Lady, you can quick effect special summon this card from your hand defense position. So basically, like if you flip a normal trap anytime this turn, or you use one of the other Labrynth monsters effects, if she's in your hand, you reveal her, activate her effect, special summons in defense position. So yeah, she can special. So having her in hand doesn't feel as bricky or as bad as having Eldritch in hand because it's so easy to special summon her. It's like brain dead easy, right? And then her other effect is probably the most important one. So her other effect says, when a normal trap card is activated, quick effect, you can set one normal trap with a different name directly from your deck. So you flip a normal trap, Trap Tricks, or Torrential Tribute, or Dogmatic Punishment. You can immediately chain her, or like you can chain her on the, you can activate her effect, right? To set another trap card of a different name from your deck to your field. And in fact, it doesn't have to be your trap card. So if your opponent has a normal trap card, like let's say they flip Sword Soul Blackout, or they flipped whatever, right? You can still activate this effect to grab a trap card from your deck, a different name than the one activated, set it to your field. So it cannot be ashed, right? Yeah, so this card is just straight up gas, right? So by herself, she's an engine by herself, right? If we play no other Labrynth cards, her by herself is already a full engine, right? It's easy to summon her. Just flip a trap, and then when you flip another normal trap, you can literally just recur traps. She's a one card engine. Now compare this to, for example, Eldritch, right? Eldritch is a 3-card engine. You need the monster, you need an elixir, and you need a golden land trap, right? So the elixir summons the golden lord, and then on a future turn, the elixir grabs the golden land trap, and then golden land trap does a thing, and then this can recycle, and then you can revive Eldritch using the golden land trap, and then in the graveyard in the following turn, this grabs an elixir. So this is at minimum a 3-card engine, right? Minimum, if you want to do stuff with it, right? Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle is a 1-card engine. This by herself does so much more than you could possibly dream of, you could possibly want, right? So, yeah, you have to play 3, I think. Maybe in the future, if I play enough, maybe if I draw too many copies of her, maybe I'll eventually cut down to 2. But I think 3 is great. Like it's so easy to summon her. You can summon one on your turn. You can summon one on your opponent's turn. Like it's relatively straightforward to get this on the field, right? Much easier, and they're not going to hit you with Call by the Grave like Eldritch likes getting hit by Call by the Grave. To be fair, Eldritch Call by the Grave is that one in the TCG, but Eldritch has to go to the graveyard before it can summon itself to the field, and with when we have the Ishizu cards like Mudora and Keldo that can bounce cards from the graveyard, like it can get interrupted and then Eldritch is gone, right? Whereas she does not need to use graveyard as the intermediary, so she's a lot more safe from those kinds of cards. The only downside I would say, and this is a part where Eldritch shine, is like, well, Eldritch can play under skill drain. Like Eldritch has a hand effect and a graveyard effect, no field effect. She has a hand and a field effect, which means skill drain does turn off her effect. So that is unfortunate. But to be fair, she's a 3K beater, right? If you have skill drain active and you have a 3K beater, how the hell are they going to beat over this, right? They're not. So it's okay to like skill drain yourself sometimes when you have a monster that's just so easy to summon for free, right? So, all right. So back to the Labrynth Core. So we do play 3 Lady of the Silver Castle, and we play 1 lovely Labrynth of the Silver Castle. So I guess this is the slightly weaker version of this one. So Lovely came out first, and then Lady came out second. I think Lady is just lovely in in combat armor, right? So Lady is 3,000 attack, 29 defense. Lovely is 29 attack, 19 defense. So less attack and defense, but her effect is really good. The reason we play one of her is because you really, 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 really don't want to see her in your hand. she's she's terrible in her hand. This is like the heaviest brick you can possibly imagine in her hand. She has no hand effects. Her only effect is a field effect. So if she's in your hand, it's gonna be annoying to get her out. So one is all you need. So if you watch my Master Duel video about Labrynth, I said you should run two of these. The reason I said that is because we don't have Lady in Master Duel, right? So you kind of need to run two of these, right? And yeah, even on Master Duel, I've noticed that two. Sometimes you just brick, but in TCG, one is all you need. So note that these are all level 8s, right? So let's read what Lovely says. Your opponent cannot activate monster effect in response to the activation of your normal trap cards. So that's crazy. So that means if they have like a Baronne de Fleur, right? She's on this girl, Lovely is on the field. You flip a trap card, like let's say Dogmatic Punishment to destroy Baronne de Fleur. They can't chain. They can't negate it. So pretty good. Yeah. So her field effect is like she can't be targeted destroyed as long as you have a set card. Her field effect is like, or continuous effect is like, they can't activate. They can't chain monster effects. Period. So she like pseudo makes all your normal traps spell speed 3 if you think about it, right? Well, I guess they can chain traps and spells, but most of the time you're dealing with monster effects. So yeah, she has more effects. You can use each of the following effects once per turn. You can target one normal trap in your graveyard, set it to your field, but it cannot be activated unless you control a field monster. So yes, she has the ability to recycle trap cards from your graveyard onto your field. So let's compare this with Lady. Lady says when you activate a normal trap, you can search a trap from your deck to your field. Lovely says you have a trap in your graveyard, you can set it to your field once per turn. So if you have both of these girls out, bro, you're winning. You're like the amount of gas, the amount of insane engine that you have. Because like you have your trap cards. This one searches from deck. This one grabs from the graveyard. You just have like this crazy, just non-stop search cycle, right? Now compare this with the Eldritch engine, which again, the Eldritch cards can only search each other. They don't search other trap cards. These girls can search and set any normal traps, right? And there's so many good ones in the game, and even more good ones coming out in the near future. So yeah, if you're able to get both of them on the field, you're gonna win. I don't know what else to tell you. All right, she has one more effect, which is very important. It says, if another monster or monsters leaves the field by your normal trap effect, except during damage step, you can destroy one card in your opponent's hand at random or their field. So she basically makes it so that all your traps net you one more, right? So remember, traps like Dogmatic Punishment. Dogmatic Punishment trades 1 for 2, right? You send Entis, you pop a monster, Entis pops a card on their field. You trade 1 card Punishment for 2, right? On a new chain, if let's say you use Punishment, pop 1, Entis, is going to pop another one. On that same chain where Entis activates, you can activate her effect to pop another card. So she makes it so that Dogmatic Punishment trades 1 for 3. How insane is that? And you use Dogmatic Punishment, for example, right? You literally pop 3 cards. It goes to your graveyard. Next turn, or the same turn, depending on the timing, you can literally reset Dogmatic Punishment and use it again, like on the following turn. It's mind blowing how good this engine is, how much gas this gives, right? So because of that effect, a lot of trap cards in the that I've always hated on in the past, such as Compulsory Evacuation Device, which is a card that trades 1 for 1, suddenly becomes really good when it trades 1 for 2, and you can literally recycle it for basically for free, right, from the graveyard. So yeah, these two just open so many possibilities with building a trap deck, like a control deck. It's mind-boggling to me how good this is. what else do I want to say? Yeah, so her effect can pop a card on the field, your choice, non-targeting, so you don't have to tell your opponent what you're going to pop, or a card in your opponent's hand. So you only have to decide when you're actually resolving her effect. So that means if there's like a long chain and a bunch of stuff happens before we get to her, you can decide, you can change your mind. Oh, maybe you plan on popping a card on the field, but now you're going to pop a card in the hand. So if you pop a card on the field, you pick. If you pop a card in the hand, it's random. You just roll a dice, like whatever. But yeah, she's insanely good. Insanely good. I can't get over how good this archetype is, and it's only going to get better with the new support. So yeah, three ladies, one lovely. This is the correct ratio. I'm pretty sure this is the ratio that I think most lab players have decided on. We also run 3 copies of Ariana, the Labrynth Servant. So this, unlike Eldritch, we do have a normal summon in this deck, and that is Ariana, the Labrynth Servant. So let's look at her here. She is level 4 Fiend, Dark Fiend. So they're all Dark Fiends. So I would say one thing that kind of hurts this deck or this archetype, which doesn't really affect Eldritch. Super Poly. Your shit can be super polyed, but super poly is actually not as popular as it used to be. I mean, people do play it obviously because it's tier limits, but I don't know. I have yet to be super poly. I don't really see it often. But yeah, so Ariana, 1600 attack, 2100 defense, very respectable stats. You normal summon her. Her effect says, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Labrynth card from your deck to your hand except Ariana, the Labrynth Servant. So that means if you normal her, you can search literally any of these ladies, these Labrynth cards, right, to your hand. Now you should never really search Lovely because she's annoying to get from the hand to the field, right? But if you search Lady, you can immediately special Lady, right? Because Lady says if you activated a Labrynth effect this turn, so if you activate Ariana the searcher, or whatever, or just Ariana, right? You can literally special Lady like immediately to your board. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's really good. Ariana has another effect, which is underrated and kind of justifies like playing, having her. So it says, if another monsters leaves the field by your normal trap effect, except during damage save, you can draw 1 card. Then you can apply this effect from your hand. Either special summon 1 fiend monster or set 1 spell trap. You can only use each effect. So each effect is once per turn, and you can only choose 1. So if you use the on summon effect, you can't use the draw effect on the same turn. If you could, that would be busted. That would be so busted. That would mean this card could net you 2 cards in one turn if that was the case. But it can't. But still, you still net a lot off this card. So one thing that's really good to do is so let's say you have Ariana and Lovely on the field, right? You use a trap like Dogmatic Punishment, right? You send entities, you pop their monster. On a new chain, you do Chain Link 1, Ariana, because you want to draw a card and you don't want to get ashed or chain block, right? Chain Link 2, Lovely. Chain Link 3, Entis, target a thing. So Entis is a targeting ability, so you want to see if your target actually pops. If not, then you can pop it with Lovely. Or if it does, then you can pop something else with Lovely, right? But yeah, you can. There's a lot of trigger effects that you can just chain block each other with. So it's really insane. So Ariana is a way that you can get. So if you do have Lovely in your hand, you can special her off Ariana. So let's say you have Lovely in hand. Ariana is on the field. Use a card that removes a monster. Let's say Punishment, right? So you could do Ariana. Chainlink 1, Entis, Chainlink 2, target a thing, right? Entis will pop, Ariana will draw you, and then you can immediately special Lovely from your hand. Or set a trap. But if this is in your hand, you want to get this on the field as quickly as possible. So, yeah. So I like 3 Ariana. And another reason, she's at level 4, so we can make rank 4 plays. So we have level 8s for rank 8 plays, and we have level 4s for rank 4 plays. So yeah, the extra deck that you'll see later will be just a toolbox of very useful level 4, rank 4s and rank 8s. So yeah. By the way, so this mat that I'm using obviously goes back to my Dark Magician days. I'm actually planning to get a new mat, a play mat, and Field Center. I ordered one online already. It's a Labrynth themed one. I'm really liking this deck. So I have ultra rare Arianas and ultra rare lovely and secret rare ladies. So if I have as much success with this deck and have as much fun playing it as I expect to, I will be rarity upgrading all these. So I'll be getting the collectors here, the collector here, and then the 3 starlights. Oh, that's gonna cost me. I gotta work hard. Get that bonus at work to afford that shit. So yeah, yeah. So rarity upgrade TBA, I suppose, or TBD. So all right, back to our Labrynth core. So we have one copy of the field spell. Just one copy is all you need. Labrynth. I don't like run it more than one copy, so on Master Duel I do run 2 because you kind of need it, right? You don't really need it as much once you have Lady, so I think one copy is enough. Plus, it's like, are they really gonna pop this? Like, it's kind of. I feel like it's a waste of pop. Like, if they have the ability to pop a card or whatever, I feel like it's a waste of unless it's like a master move like Harpy's Feather Duster. But anyway, yeah. So I don't want to see this card in my hand ever. Uh, I would rather search it off Ariana or like activate it off Metaverse. Yeah, this is kind of a brick. It does nothing by itself. So let's read what it says. If you activate a set, quote, Welcome Labrynth normal trap, you can add this additional effect to that card at a resolution. The effect is after that, destroy one card on the field. So that means Welcome Labrynth, which we are running 3 of. So we're running 3 copies of Welcome Labrynth. I'll get into this card in a bit. After we activate Welcome Labrynth, if this is on the field, we get to pop a card. No questions asked. Non-targeting, right? And then this has another effect which says, if you activate a non-Labrynth normal trap except during the damage step, you can special a fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. Each effect is once per turn. So, pretty solid field spell. Visually, it reminds me a lot of like Cursed Eldland, right? But Cursed Eldland was for some reason they made it a continuous spell when it clearly should be a field spell in my opinion, and they also made Cursed Eldland suck. So that's why we never played Cursed Eldland when we played Eldritch. But if Cursed Eldland was a field spell, I would feel a lot better about playing it. But alas, so usually what you do is let's say you open your opening hand is like I'll get into that in a sec. Let me actually explain Welcome Labrynth before I talk about that. But yeah, so the second effect is important because it's a way that you can literally recycle your ladies, your Labrynth monsters, right? Because basically, like unlike Eldritch, these monsters do not have effects that revive themselves from the graveyard, and you have 4 of these boss ladies, right? So if you want to revive, if you want a special Lovely from hand or special one of these 4 from the graveyard, and you have this field spell, all you have to do is just activate any normal trap card that is not Welcome Labrynth, or not a Labrynth trap, right? And then on a new chain, you can activate this and revive or special from your hand a fiend monster, any fiend monster, really. So one thing that's interesting is so let's say you have Lovely on the field, right? Let's say you flip Torrential Tribute, you blow up Lovely, she goes in the graveyard. New chain, because you activate a normal trap, Torrential Tribute is a normal trap that is not a Labrynth trap. Activate this to revive Lovely from the grave. So she ain't going nowhere. It's really hard to out if you have the spell. So it's really hard for them to out your monsters. So very powerful. Lady can also be revived from the graveyard. By the similar logic, right? You Torrential, Lady dies. Field spell, bring back Lady. Bam, done. So yeah, this is the one way that you can return your Labrynth cards from the graveyard, get them back, right? In the near future on Photon Hypernova, we are getting a new card called Fair Welcome Labrynth, which will be able to grab monsters, the Labrynth monsters from the graveyard as well. Speaking of, let's talk about Welcome Labrynth. So Welcome Labrynth is basically your Elixir, right? So we run 3 of them because they're really good. You want to see this, right? So this card reads, Special summon 1 Labrynth monster from your deck. Also, until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the deck or extra deck except fiend monsters. If a monster... So you're locked into fiends, but... So Elixir locks you into zombies for the rest of the turn. Locks you out of... You can only summon zombies for the rest of the turn, right? Which means if you use Elixir, you cannot summon Lord of the Heavenly Prison, right? However, if you use Welcome Labrynth, you can use Lord of the Heavenly Prison because this says you can only special summon fiends from the deck or extra deck. Lord of the Heavenly Prison special summons from the hand, so no conflicts whatsoever. You can do both. I want to say that like when they were designing this card, they took into account the fact, oh, we have this card called Lord of the Heavenly Prison. It's really good in trap decks. Let's make the card not play around that and be able to not lock you out of using Lord, right? So the second effect of Welcome Labyrinth says, if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect while this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can set this card. How nuts is that? So if this card is in your graveyard, you punishment or whatever, pop one of their monsters, you can literally reset this, and it'll be activatable next turn. And it doesn't banish when it leaves the field. You can literally keep doing that. How crazy is this? Like, imagine if Elixir did just recycled itself. Like, instead of banishing to search a gold land, and then gold land summons the thing, and then you link it away, and then it's in the graveyard, and then the following turn you banish the gold land. No, this just comes back from the graveyard by itself. All you have to do is activate a normal trap card, which we do have. We are playing normal trap cards, right? Crazy good. I can't get over how good this card is, and it's not even the best one. Like the big Welcome Labyrinth is going to be even better, as you'll see in the future when that card comes out. So yeah, so this is your Labrynth Core. This is all you need. So 3 ladies, 3 Arianas, 1 lovely, 3 welcome, 1 field spell, for a total of 7, 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 cards core to your deck, right? Arguably, when the big Welcome Labyrinth comes out, the core will grow to 14. That is slightly bigger than the Eldritch Core. The Eldritch Core, I believe, was 10 cards, but you're getting so much gas. It's such a good engine. It's like that. I don't feel as bad about not having as much deck space as I used to, because again, they're just so self-sufficient and like, yeah. So one thing that a common play that you can do is, let's say you open Ariana in hand with a Welcome Labyrinth also in your hand, right? You should normal Ariana, you search the field spell. Where's that field spell? You search the field spell to your hand, right? You activate the field spell, you set Welcome Labyrinth, right? On your opponent's turn, I mean, you also have other cards you'll probably set. On your opponent's turn, they're going to do some stuff. Whenever you feel like interrupting them, you flip Welcome Labyrinth, and then you can special summon Lovely from the deck. And because the field spell is on the field, you can immediately summon and then pop one of your opponent's cards, non-targeting. Ideally, you want to pop a monster card. So pop one of their monsters, pop Destroyed. New chain, so on the resolution of that chain, Chainlink 1, Ariana, to draw a card and possibly set it. Chainlink 2, Lovely Labyrinth, to pop a card in either their field you pick or at random from their hand. So yeah, that again, and then on the following turn, if you want, you can literally use this to recycle this, like Welcome Labyrinth back onto your field if you want. Like, it's so good. It's so good, right? Compare that to I don't know, Eldritch with Elixir. Yeah, you can remove a card and then you can banish, get a gold land, and then I don't know. I just feel like this is just from playing. This is definitely feels like a much stronger engine, right? Plus, one thing I like is Ariana is great ash bait, right? Oh, they ash Ariana. That means they won't ash Welcome Labyrinth. So yeah, it's kind of funny. So yeah, so that's the core. So let me put this back. Now that we've finished with the core of the deck, I'm going to get into the other cards that are not the core but are still very important to the deck. So, by the way, notice at this Labrynth Core, nothing else. We're not running Chandelier. We're not running the Stove. We're not running the Coup Clock. We're not running the Archfiend. You don't need any of those little monsters. You don't need Absolute King Backjack. None of those monsters are necessary. Like I said, this card by itself is already an engine. We add these other cards because it amplifies the engine. But the other monsters, the Coup Clock, whatever, they're not worth playing. They just feel way too weak, and a lot of them require you to discard them plus another card from your hand. It's like, again, we're a trap deck, we're a control deck. We do not want to discard cards. We want as many cards in our hand as possible so that we can set up the best possible board. So, yeah, I don't like those cards. I don't think they're necessary. I what is it? The other Labrynth players in my locals, they did play. Some of them did play the Coup Clock and the Chandelier or whatever, and they did not go undefeated, and I did. So I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. Whatever. So let's get into the remaining monsters in the deck. So right now we're at what? 7 monsters: 3 Lady, 1 Lovely, 3 Ariana. So 7 monsters. And now for the final monsters of the deck, we have 3 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Yep, that's it. No more monsters. That's all you need. Lord of the Heavenly Prison. You love to see him. I don't know. Can you really be playing a control deck in 2022, almost 2023, without this in the main deck? I mean, he's just so good. Like, I see some deck profiles sometimes online of people either citing him or not playing them at all. I'm like, yo, what are you doing, yo? You got to be playing Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Not only does he protect your back row from destruction, but he summons as a 3K beater, right? Because, as a trap deck, you're not great at OTKing compared to combo decks. And he searches a spell trap from your deck directly onto your field. What more could you possibly want from this card? Like, it's so good. It's blows my mind that people don't play him. I did upgrade to the Prismatic Secrets from the Megatons. I think last time I showed you all my Eldritch deck profile. Yeah, I did pick up the Prismatic Secrets from the Megatons, and yeah, they're very nice looking. So yeah, most of the time you'll be searching with Lord of the Heavenly Prison. You'll be searching your pot cards because they are searchable, right? But sometimes you need to get your engine going, so you can very well search Welcome Labrynth, right, to get this going, because remember it recycles itself, so you only just need 1 in rotation and you're probably good to go. If you really need this field spell for whatever reason, I do run Metaverse in this deck, as you'll see later. So yeah, because Lord of the Heavenly Prison, whatever card you search will banish on the end phase of your following turn, which means you don't want to search the field spell directly because it'll banish. You want to search a card like Metaverse, which you can flip, use the effect, and then it goes away, right? Same with Welcome Labrynth, it'll go to the graveyard. So yeah, so just to recap, Lord of Heaven Prison, he's a Dark Rock monster, 3K attack, 3K defense. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. This card in your hand becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While this card is revealed by this effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. That includes set monsters in defense position, set cards on either field, so it applies to all set cards, right? Cannot be destroyed by card effects. Next effect, if a set spell trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if you activate this effect while this card is revealed, you can reveal and set 1 spell trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of your next turn. You can only use 1 Lord of Heaven Prison effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, the turn that you reveal cannot be the same turn that you summon, right? So, you can either flip a card, summon him, and not get a search, or you can reveal him, set a card from your hand. Next turn, you flip the card, or your opponent flips a card. You summon Lord, you search a card, and then so yeah, just be aware that each effect is mutually exclusive. You cannot use both in the same turn. Otherwise, that'd be pretty busted. But that's okay because you don't need to. So you use more. So that's it. That's all the monsters. 10 monsters total. Honestly, that feels like a little too much because when we were playing Eldritch, we had 5 monsters total. Now we have 10. We doubled the number of monsters that we have. All right, let's get into the spell cards for the deck. We have 2 pots of Extravagance, 2 pots of Duality, 1 Necro Valley, baby. Let's go. So, yeah. So in the Eldritch deck, we ran 4 spell cards. In this deck, we're running 6, right? Because we're also counting the Labrynth Field spell. So that's all you need for spell cards, honestly. I mean, let's start with Necro Valley. This card is. Do we really need explanation? This card just wins. You play it and you win. It's that simple. You just win. The best deck right now is a deck called Ishizu Tier Laments. They can't play under Necro Valley, period. They just can't, right? Against Floodgates, not great, but they can't use Dreaming Town Graveyard Effect. They can't use Street. It shuts off Street. They can't use Ryza to recycle cards, right? So it does. So we are main decking this, so it doesn't do much against Floodgates, but does something. Naturia also grabs cards from the graveyard and recycles them. no. This says no. Runic, their field spell, recycle spells. This says no, right? Bestials. Bestials need to banish a card to summon themselves. This says no. Branded Despia. Branded Despia need to, or Branded Bestials, right? They need to either banish cards to fuse, or they need to return cards from the graveyard to fuse. This says no, right? Well, I can go on. This is just insane, right? Like, what else? Let's say you're against Sword Soul. Sword Soul's not as good anymore, but imagine you were against Sword Soul, right? If they have a Vishuda in the graveyard, they can't banish it to bounce one of your cards. If they have a Chisha on the field, they can't banish a card to negate your monster effect. If they have Changing on the field, they can't banish a card to protect itself from destruction. Like, this has so many applications. Dragon Link. Dragon Links, they need to banish cards from their graveyard. This says no, right? Like, this... Unfortunately, we have to main deck this in the current format. It's just way too good. It's way too good. Even against like Crystal Beasts, right? Like Crystal Beasts run this card, but they do kind of want to sometimes grab move cards out of their graveyard. So this says no to them too. So yeah, I've won. Oh, I'm trying to remember. So against my final matchup, Ishizu Tier Elements, I saw this card game 1 and game 3. Game 2, this card got milled by a freaking Ishizu card. So I never got to see it or play it. But game 1 and 3, I played it, I won. It's that simple. It's that simple. Yeah, this also says no to the Ishizu cards. Oh, you want to bounce cards back in your deck? Well, this says no. Like, play this. 1 is all you need. I would play more copies if I had more room in my deck, but this deck is so tight. We're at 40 cards, but it just feels like I want to run so many cards, but I just can't, right? But this is okay because we have 5 ways of getting to this field spell. Not even counting the pot cards, right? So, yeah. Like, yes, this shuts off your part of your Labrynth engine. So, for example, like the... what is it? So, Lovely can't recycle cards from the graveyard, and... Welcome Labyrinth cannot recycle itself under Necro Valley, and the field spell cannot special summon from the graveyard under Necro Valley. Well, actually, if you have Necro Valley, you don't have this field spell, right? But it doesn't matter because Lady can grab cards from the deck, Lovely on the field can still pop cards, Ariana on the field can still draw cards. So you're Gucci. Like you're perfectly fine restricting yourself under Necro Valley because your opponent will be in much worse shape than you are. All right, let's get into our pot cards. We run 2 Extravagance, 2 Duality. So a lot of trap decks like to run 3 Extravagance. I don't like 3 Extravagance. I've explained it in the past. I'll re-explain it again. The reason is because, first of all, Extravagance is once per turn. So we are a control deck. So unlike a combo deck where they need to see specific pieces of, like they let's say a Sword Soul deck. They have 3 Moye, they draw all 3 Moye, they can still combo off and pop off, right? They don't care that they draw on 3 Moye, right? We do care if we draw 2 of these because one of these will be unplayable, right? A lot of cards in this game are hard once per turn, which means they do nothing if you have more than 1 copy in your hand. But if we're a control deck, we're a trap deck, we want every single one of our cards to do something. Ideally all 5 or 6 of our cards in our hand do something, right? We don't want to have cards in our hand that do nothing, right? So yeah, definitely you never want to open 2 of these in your opening hand. If we had a 3rd copy, the chance of us seeing 2 of them jumps dramatically, right? You don't want that. And 2 Duality, so these are not mutually exclusive. You can Duality, locks you out of special summoning, but guess what? Ariana is a normal summon, and if obviously you can't summon Lady, but you can just summon it on their turn, like whatever. It's not a big deal. Same with Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Lord of the Heavenly Prison you can summon on their turn. Not a big deal. Most of the time, turn 1 you won't be summoning anyway. So, yeah. And another thing about Extravagance, remember I mentioned Lord of the Heavenly Prison? This card can search these. So really, we have like 5 copies of Extravagance, 5 copies of Duality, right? Because when Lord of the Heavenly Prison hits the field with a second effect, if it's revealed, most of the 80% of the time I'm searching this card from my deck and setting it, and then on my turn on my opponent's turn, and on my turn I immediately activate it. So not only is this card searchable off Lord, so the fact that we're running 2 doesn't matter. We almost always see this card, right? So it's not like we're going like all these games without seeing. Oh, we're missing that. We're not missing the 3rd copy. Also, folks, guess what? The 3rd copy will never, ever, ever, ever be played, right? This is a control deck. It's a grind game. That means the game ain't gonna end on turn 1. Probably not gonna end on turn 2. It's gonna last usually multiple turns unless you floodgate out your opponent and like they just scoop, right? So yeah, you have 15 cards in your extra deck. This mana to 6, draws 2. This mana to 6, draws 2. How many do you have left? 3. So if you had a third extravagance, best case it draws you 1 card, assuming you don't use your extra deck for like dogmatic punishment targets. So 2 is all you need. 2 is a perfect ratio. I play this through Eldritch. This is all you need. It's searchable, like I said. Most of the time, most games you'll be seeing one of these. Sometimes you'll be seeing the second one off of Lord of Heavenly Prison. And once you run out of extravagance, Lord of Heavenly Prison can also search your duality. Excavate 3, pick the best card that you want, right? So, yeah, Extrav and duality helps you get into your cards. Now, some people might ask, oh, why play extravagance over prosperity? So, here's the deal. Pot of Prosperity is best in combo decks or mid-range decks that really, really, really need to see one specific card. Like you're a Flaunderies player, you need to see that Robina or that field spell. You play Pot of Prosperity. You dig 6 deep into your deck. You get that one card that you need to completely pop off, right? But we're a control deck. We're not a combo deck, right? So we just want more cards, right? The entire premise behind our deck is we want to just generate advantage every turn, grind out our opponents, right? So we want to just have more resources in them. Every card that we have in our deck should theoretically be useful and do something, right? For every card that we play, we want to get rid of or force them to play 2 or more cards, right? You want to generate advantage, right? So this card generates advantage. Prosperity, you trade 1 card for 1 card. You're not generating advantage. This does. So this will draw you 2 cards. Whatever 2 cards you draw should be good. If it's not good, then maybe you need to redo your deck, right? But yeah, that's the logic behind extravagance over prosperity in a control/trap deck. Every card you draw will be good. So if you draw 2, it's better than excavating 1, right? So yeah, extravs and duality, no prosperities, no need for that. But yeah, so that's our entire spell lineup. Labrynth field spell and then these 5 spells. That's it. So how many cards are we at? So 11 from the Labrynth, 3 lords. We're at 14. 5 spells on top of that. We're at 19. The remainder of the deck, 21 cards, all traps. So yeah, let's get into the trap lineup, shall we? So let's start with our normal traps. These are traps that are important because the Labrynth deck directly interacts with the normal traps. FYI, we're already playing 3 normal traps via Welcome Labrynth. This is a normal trap, so you can trigger your effects off of it, your Labrynth effects, right? So we're already at 3. We're running 2 copies of Torrential Tribute. So this card's great. It is not once per turn. So if you draw both of these copies in your hand, you can set both. They'll both do something, right? So in the past, if you watch my Eldritch content, or any of my previous content, I've always said, if you have a card that's hard once per turn, you should probably run 2 copies. If you have a card that's not hard once per turn, you should run 3. That's a general rule. It's not like 100% set in stone, but in general, that's the case. So every single control deck profile, Eldritch, whatever I've ever shown you has had 3 Torrential Tributes, and yet here we are at 2. Why are we at 2 and not 3? Why am I breaking my own rule? The reason is because Torrential Tribute feels really bad against Ishizu Tearlaments. Like, Ishizu Tearlaments, their freaking monsters all have floating graveyard effects, so you blow up their board and, like, they're just going to rebuild another one immediately, right? So it feels terrible to run 3. Like, it just feels so bad. I really want to run 3, but, like, until the Ishizu... the reign of Ishizu Tearlaments ends, I think we just got to stick to 2. Another reason I think I cut the 3rd copy is because this deck feels kind of tight. Why does it feel so tight? Because to compete with Ishizu Tearlaments, we need to flood them the fuck out. Like, we need floodgates out the wazoo to make sure that they can't do what they want to do, right? So yeah, so unfortunately I can't fit a 3rd copy. I don't want to go over 40 cards. So 2 copies is enough. We do to play Trap Trick in this deck, as you'll see later. 2 copies is enough to be able to search it off of Trap Trick. This card did come in handy today. I did not use it against Ishizu Tearlaments. In fact, I side this freaking card out against Ishizu Tearlaments. Like, why bother having this card? You know what other card I side out against Ishizu Tearlaments? I side out Labrynth because, like, again, this gives me the ability to pop a card. Most of the time I don't want to do that, right? So, yeah, plus it's like, if you have access to a field spell, Necro Valley is the field spell against the Ishizu Tearlaments. So, yeah, sometimes you just want to side out this field spell. You just get rid of it, right? for game 2 or 3, depending on the matchup. Yeah, same with torrentials. Against the Ishizu tier limits, you're always siding this out. Most other matchups, you do not side this out. This card is just so good in other matchups. So 2 copies of torrential. Oh, by the way, for those of you wondering, yes, these are collector's rares. Thank you for noticing. They're so beautiful. Yes. Yeah, I'm like trying to deck out my my deck here. So we have what is it, the Dusa Ultra Rare, right? Duelist see with the stripes, right, on the dualities. The Dusa on the Necro Valley. I know there's a Necro Valley Pharaoh's Rare that came out in Mama. I'll eventually buy that, but not yet. And then of course the extravagance are Prismatic Secrets, baby, from the Megatons. Woo! All right, so yeah, a lot of high rarity stuff in this deck because again, I love trap decks, I love control decks, so yeah, it just makes sense to me. We have 2 copies of Dynamic Punishment. These are secret rares. Yep. Just like in Eldritch, we run 2 copies. This is hard once per turn. So even if I had more room in deck, I would not run a 3rd copy because if you draw 2 of them in your opening hand, one of them's a brick, ain't gonna do nothing, right? And since we have 2 copies, we can trap trick, right? These are the Prismatic Secrets from the Megatons last year. So yeah, this card most of the time will trade 1 for 2, right? So you activate this card, target a monster. You send a monster from the extra deck. Attack equal or greater. Pops a monster. Most of the time you'll be sending Elder Ancientess because in the graveyard, Elder Ancientess will pop another card on their field. So you'll trade 1 for 2 most of the time. And if you have Lovely on the field, you're basically trading 1 for 3. It's great card. I also side this out against tier limits most of the time because again, you don't really pop in their cards. I mean, the only card you really want to pop is like their field spell, maybe their crime if they have it, and like, what do you even target? I guess you target the Sprite Elf, right? Because you don't want to target any of their tiers. So, yeah, it feels kind of bad. So yeah, I saw myself siding this out in the Ishizu tier limit matchup I had today, because I just felt again, floating graveyard effects really annoying to deal with. So, all right, next normal traps we have 2 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device. OMG, Matt. I've watched your videos. I comment on your videos. You always said that this card sucks. Every time you see other players use this card, you said that it was garbage. It was the dog shit card. How can you possibly be running Compulsory Evacuation Device now, right? I'll tell you why. Thank you for asking. So, yes, this card in general sucks because you're trading 1 for 1, right? You trade this card to bounce, ideally, an extra deck monster back into the extra deck. So, why am I now using this card? Why is it suddenly so good? Because the Labrynth deck makes it good, right? So we're running 2 copies because, so we can trap trick. This is not once per turn, so theoretically we could run 3, but again, I don't have the space for it. But yeah, because we have a card like Lovely makes this card amazing because you literally activate this card, bounce one of their monsters, this goes to the graveyard, on resolution, new chain, Lovely activates her effect to pop a card on their field or hand. And then on the subsequent turn, Lovely can literally target this in the graveyard, reset it to your field. Rinse and repeat. So Lovely turns this card into a 1 for 2 trade. And the fact that she can recycle it means you get a 1 for 2 trade every turn. And so it works because of this, right? And if you also had Ariana on the field, you flip Compulsory, you bounce your monster, you draw a card off Ariana, and you pop a card. So you're trading 1 for 3 here, right? You're netting a card to your hand, you're getting rid of 2 of their cards from the field, and then the following turn you can literally like recycle this. So the Labrynth monsters enhance these trap cards. That's why it's suddenly good when it wasn't before, right? So I would never run this in Eldritch. I would never run this in Trap Trick. This card sucks in Eldritch and Trap Trick. Why? Because you're trading 1 for 1. You don't want to do that. But more specifically, this card is good in current format because, well, the tier limit monsters, they all have floating effects in the graveyard. So you don't want to destroy them. Bouncing them into the extra deck is better. Unfortunately, it does trigger their field spell, so they have their field spell. You bounce their monster, their field spell will get to pop on your cards. Sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, this is just good. This is a good card. It's just a good card now in this Labrynth deck. So we are running 2 of those. We're also running 2 copies of Metaverse. Metaverse is back at 3, folks. That's right. Unfortunately, I don't have a high rarity one. I like as soon as the ban list dropped, where Metaverse got released to 3. By the way, these are that compulsory is an ultra. I have one common from the Crystal Beast structure deck and one super rare from some freaking OTS pack. But I suppose there is a secret rare Speed Duel Metaverse that I want to eventually get because it looks so sexy, right? But you know, after the ban list, the price of this card spiked tremendously. So I'm waiting a little bit for it to cool down. But eventually, I will be getting the secret rares because they look really sick, right? Yeah, these are not hard ones per turn, but again, we're not really have room for a third copy. So this card says, take a field spell from deck, activate it, or add it to your hand. So we have 2 field spells. We have the Labrynth field spell, and we have Necro Valley. So that's what you'll be activating. Depending on the matchup, you'll probably want to do Necro Valley if you're against tier Ishizu. Otherwise, if you don't care about their graveyard, go for your fields, your Labrynth fields. So why not? So yeah, sometimes you want to add it to your hand just to thin your deck. Since this is a normal trap card, you can trigger Lady's effect to get another trap card. So sometimes you just want to do that, right? Yeah, just a good card. Like, so we have Necro Valley. We can hard draw it, or we can play one in the Metaverse. So we have 3 ways to Necro Valley. But we also play Trap Trick, which I'll show you in a second. And since this is a 2 of, Trap Trick can also search Metaverse. So we really have 5 ways to get to Necro Valley. So if you need your Necro Valley, you're probably gonna get it. Is what I'm saying, right? Oh, one more interaction I forgot to mention with compulsory evacuation device. I did this in Master Duel, but you can kind of see the application. So the way it worked is like I think my opening hand was like this, right? I had Ariana and compulsory. I normal Ari. I searched welcome. They did not ash me, right? I set welcome. I set compulsory, right? On their turn, I activated welcome to try to summon Labrynth from the deck. They ashed welcome, so this went to the graveyard. On the subsequent turn, I used compulsory to bounce Ari to my hand. Because Ari left the field by a normal trap card, I can trigger welcome in the graveyard, put it back on the deck. Normal Ari again. Activate Ari, search the field spell. So, yeah, a lot of these card effects, they Labrynth effects where a monster leaves the field via normal trap. It doesn't have to be your opponent's monster. It can be your own monster, folks. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you want to bounce your own card, and it's like, oh, doesn't that feel bad? Well, no, because like cards like Lovely and Ariana and Lady generate so much advantage that like you don't even feel bad about like using this on yourself and just bouncing one of your own monsters. That can also come really in handy under Skill Drain, right? We do play Skill Drain in this deck because I mean it's a really good card. Why would we not play Skill Drain? But if you need to activate one of your Lady's effects, like so, let's say you have Lady on the field, right? Let's say we have Skill Drain, right? We can literally let's say we use another trap, we activate Lady and chain, and then we chain this to bounce Lady back to our hand, right? We get the Lady search. A monster left the field by trap effect, so you can trigger possibly welcome Labrynth in the graveyard or whatever. And remember, she can summon herself back if you activate a normal trap this turn. So yeah, very easy to just recur this. Like if you skill drain yourself and you really need some of your monster effects to go through, you can use compulsory to make it happen. So yeah, compulsory low key really good in this deck. Not the case in Eldritch or Trap Tricks. So yeah, so we are running it here. And finally, the last normal traps we're playing in the deck are 2 copies of Trap Trick. So these are the Collector's Rare. They're very beautiful. Trap Trick is hard once per turn. Therefore, we do not want to run a third copy. 2 is enough. So Trap Trick, basically, you banish a trap card from your deck and then set the trap, another copy of the same trap you just banished onto your field, and it can be activated on the same turn, right? So Trap Trick is really good, and it's a normal trap, which means you can trigger Lady off of it, you can trigger Lovely to recycle it. Most of the time, you wouldn't really want to recycle it off Lovely because that seems kind of silly, but alas, It is a normal trap. It's also combos really well with Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Oftentimes you have Lord of the Heavenly Prison revealed in your hand. You have it revealed in your hand. You have a set trap trick, right? Your opponent goes to end phase. On end phase, you use trap trick to grab a trap you need. You trigger Lord to summon itself, and then you basically get 2 traps that you need on your opponent's end phase, basically, combining Lord and trap trick. It's really, really amazing. So, yeah. So in total, we have a total of 10 normal trap cards. And if we add the 3 Welcome Labrynth, we have 13 normal trap cards. So that's more than a quarter of our deck. So you will be seeing these cards. Yeah. You might say, oh, shouldn't you play more normal traps because your Labrynth cards synergize really well with normal traps? I mean, yeah, there are cards like Ice Dragons, there's Get Out, there's Terrors of the Underroot. There's a lot of good normal trap cards. The problem is, again, the deck feels tight, and I feel like those normal traps don't do enough against Ishizu tier elements. So instead of them having those normal traps, we're instead running Floodgates. And we're about to get into our Floodgates. Alright, Floodgates. I think these are pretty much near mandatory in the current format. We have 3 copies of Rivalry of Warlords, 2 copies of Gozen Match. So let me move this back a little bit. 3 copies of Skill Drain. This is your Floodgate lineup. Trust me, you got to play it. So we have Ultra Rare Gozens from Mama, the Magnificent Masons. We have Collector's Rare Rivalries from King's Court. And we have Ultimate Skill Drains from the OTS pack. So, yeah, we are decked out here because, again, these cards are just, like, good in every control deck. Like, play them. Play them. So, quick recap about Rivalry and Gozen. So, Rivalry locks each player into only one type of monster. All your Labyrinths are Fiends. So, you can just get by having Fiends, right? Gozen locks you into an attribute. Each player into a single attribute. All your monsters are darks. The Labyrinths are darks, and Lord of the Heavenly Prison are darks. So you cannot have Lord and Labyrinth card under Rivalry, but you can under Gozen. So why do we play 3 Rivalry, 2 Gozen? I feel like so Rivalry is better than slightly better than Gozen in the Ishizu tier limits matchup. So they're gonna put up a field. It's gonna have Kalos or Brew Kalos. Kaleido Hearts, Elf, whatever, right? Elf is a Thunder. Rukalos is a Aqua. Kaleido Heart is a Fiend, right? They're gonna have all different types. This is a board clear. Going first or going second, this prevents them from doing stuff, right? You flip them going second, they have to clear their board, unless they obviously negate it with like crime or whatever. But again, we have multiple floodgates, so we can try to clear their board multiple ways, right? Unfortunately, Rivalry doesn't do much against like Sprite, so that's slightly unfortunate. Unless they do a play like Nimble Beaver, then you can lock them into Beast, right? Branded Bestial. So Branded Bestials, they do have a lot of dragons, but under Rivalry they cannot make a Mirror Jade. They cannot make a lot of stuff, right? They can't make Quercius. They can't make Guardian Chimera. You're basically locking them into dragons in Rivalry, right? Naturia. Naturia uses a combination of insects and plants, and they make boss monsters like Baron de Fleur, which is a warrior. So Rivalry says no. Mudora, like let's say you're going first, right? All the Ishizu monsters are fairies. All the tier elements are aquas, except Reinhardt is a freaking warrior. So they get 2 bodies on the field, like a Ishizu body plus a tier element body. You flip Rivalry, they cannot make an Xyz play or a Link play, right? So, I think Rivalry is the best Floodgate in the current format. And then Gozen Match is pretty good against Ishizu tier because let's recap, right? Rukalos, Water, Kaleido Heart, Dark, Sprite Elf, Fire, Baron de Fleur, Wind, Ishizu cards, Earth, Baluxa, Earth, Zeus, Light. Just like this can clear their board, right? Like Gozen can do stuff against Ishizu tier limits, and in fact, it can also do a lot against Sprite. Because Sprite they're all Thunders, but they're all different attributes, right? I guess they can stick to Darks, but like that does nothing for them. Other matchups, Branded, they're mostly Darks. The only way you can try to get them on a light is like, oh, they get Lubellion, and then they have no other darks, so you can flip this, and then they can't make darks, right? But it's really hard to make Gozen work against Abyss Shields. Uh, Naturia, they're all Earths, so does nothing, I guess. They can still set up a pretty decent board under it. So, I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't, like, if you really wanted to run 3 Gozen, 2 Rivalries, I wouldn't be opposed to that idea. I just think that from my playtesting, I felt like Rivalries have come in handy way more than Gozens. But again, your mileage may vary. Maybe your locals is different. Another thing about Rivalries and Gozens, Rivalry is really good against Crystal Beasts, right? Because all their monsters are different types. Rivalry is really good against Adventure, anything, right? I guess Gozen is too. I don't know. I just felt like I've gotten more mileage off of Rivalry. But again, if I had the deck space, I would probably run a third Gozen. If I, if my locals, if my matches were slightly different, maybe I would swap the ratios 2 Rivalry, 3 Gozen, right? But 3 Rivalry, 2 Gozen is what I used, and it went really fine. The Umi control player, my locals, remember that? They're all water monsters, but they're different types, so Rivalry is more useful there, right? So yeah, I feel like there's a lot more rogue matchups where Rivalry is better. Exo Sisters, great example. They're all lights. In fact, Exo Sisters love running Gozen themselves, but their normal sisters monsters are spellcasters, and their Xyz monsters are warriors. So if you Rivalry them, they cannot Xyz summon. They're screwed, right? Obviously, against Flandres, Rivalry does nothing. Gozen, you can lock them into water birds, right, or just winds, right? So they summon Robina, you flip Gozen, their turn is over. If you're going second, right, they already have set up wind monsters on the field. But on the follow-up turn, you flip Gozen, and then they're locked into winds, right? Which not as big a deal if they already have a board. So not as good against Flandres, but yeah, still Gozen does more than nothing. Rivalry literally does nothing against Flu, right? So yeah, I don't know. I like Rivalry, but again, feel free to swap the ratios if you really feel like it. And then finally, Skill Drain. Oh, Skill Drain. I love this card. I might say, wait, but don't your Labrynth monsters all have field effects? Yes, and like there's like Lady is a 3K beater. Lord of the Heaven Prison is a 3K beater. Lovely is a 2900 beater. I'm perfectly content just sitting on a Skill Drain with all these big old beaters, just killing them. Just kill them, right? And yeah, there was a few games where I did just that. I flipped Skill Drain. They couldn't build the board. I summoned Lady because Lady is easy to summon, right? Or I summoned Lord of Heavenly Prison. I summoned both actually, and now I just attack. They can't do anything, right? So yeah, Skill Drain does shut off your, but again, it doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, in Dark Magician, technically Skill Drain shut off your rods, shut off your, right? But it just didn't matter because like you had a vanilla Dark Magician that you could recur, like yes. So Skill Drain can still be good even if you rely on the field effects of the monsters. It's just good because it's just like, let's say you're going second against Ishizu tier limits. You have 8 floodgates here. Any combination of 2 will break their board. Let's say let's say you open Rivalry and Skill Drain, going second against tier. You set both on their turn. You flip Skill Drain. They have to crime you. They'll chain crime, negate this. Cool, crime is gone. Rivalry, GG. They have to clear their entire board except for one monster, and they can't make any more monsters unless it's like they stick to Aquas, right? And even so, it's like, okay, so you're just gonna summon like Kikalos and do nothing, like, yeah. So any 2 combinations of these cards will break pretty much any board you're looking at in Ishizu tier limits. Goes in Rivalry or even double Rivalry, right? Right. Set 2, flip Rivalry. They negate with crime. Okay, cool. Flip second Rivalry. They're done, right? So yeah, this is yeah. Unfortunately, you have to do it because the Ishizu tier limits is way too powerful and way too oppressive. So you just got to do it. You have to do it. 8 floodgates. I'm telling you, these won me games today. These won me games. Skill Drain won me games. Rivalry absolutely won me games. Like, yeah, I saw Gozen against the Sprite matchup. It was these will win you the game. Just play them, please. Don't try to kneecap yourself for no reason. Also, Gozen, if you're ever against a Kashtira matchup, all their Kashtiras are different attributes, right? Rivalry, like, they're all psychics, but not the XCs that they want to make might not be psychic, so Rivalry is okay against Kashtira. Anyway. So, yeah. Also, one funny thing I did today was, I think it was against the Ishizu tier player. he summoned a Bestial, and then I flipped Rivalry, and then he was locked into Dragons. Like, imagine a tier Ishizu player locked into Dragons, right? Their turn is over. Okay, my turn, right? So yeah, 8 Floodgates. Trust me, you gotta run it. And like I said, Skill Drain, you can play around it with Compulsory Evacuation Device if you really need to. Or if your opponent like bends over backwards to get rid of Skill Drain, guess what? All your Labrynth monster effects are now online, so they'll do stuff. The last 3 cards in the deck, we have 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Are you really a control deck without playing the 3 copies of Solemn Strike? Like, it's just so good, right? Yes, these are the collector's rares. They're very beautiful. Yeah, this card just says no to a lot of stuff. Oh, you want to summon Baguska to stall out the game for time? No. You want to summon Access Kotaka to clear my board OTKB? No. You want to summon Zeus, 4 material Zeus to wipe my board? No. Oh, you're using Burn to Flirt to negate my activation of Skill Drain? No. Yeah, this just says no to a lot of stuff. So, if you ever use Solemn Strike against tier limits, you should Solemn Strike the graveyard effects, not their field effects. Because again, you destroy because this negates and destroys, right? You destroy their tier limits on the field. They go to the graveyard. They float. Their graveyard effects are more annoying to deal with. So if you're playing tier, do not chain this to a tier limits on the field because there's no point. Like, they're just gonna generate advantage off of it. So just don't do it. Don't do it. In fact, I might have sided out 1 or more of these in my tier matchup because yeah, it's like unless I noticed my Ishizu tier matchup, the guy was not making Broad. He was making like a Kaleidoheart, Rukalos, and like Elf, right? So I'm like, okay, well you're not making Broad, then I don't really care about. Yeah, this is basically like in the tier matchup. Oh, you want to Solemn Strike Broad to Fleur, right? Maybe the Sprite Elf. Oh, I remember Solemn Striking in the Sprite matchup I had. I did Solemn Strike the enemy's Sprite Elf. That was satisfying, right? So yeah, that's it. Those are your counter traps. That's your 40 card deck. That's all you need to be to play Labrynth really well. So let me see if there are any card interactions I may have forgotten about. No, I think pretty much that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so let's move on to the extra deck. So the extra deck is kind of work in progress in the sense of only some of these cards are really core. The others are your mileage may vary. And by the way, yes, I'm aware that when I posted my Labrynth deck profile for Master Duel, someone mentioned, oh, you're running Lightning Chidori in the extra deck. Lightning Chidori can only be made with wind monsters, so you literally can't summon it. I understand that. I realized that too late. I accidentally put in Lightning Chidori because I was from playtesting Crystal Beast so much. I'm like, wow, this Lightning Chidori monster is really good. I should run it in my lab deck. Not realizing that the reason I ran it in Crystal Beast, Pegasus and Cobalt Eagle are winds, so yeah, you need wind monsters to make Lightning Chidori. So no Lightning Chidori in this extra deck. Don't worry, I've learned my lesson. I'm not as dumb as I think. So let's start out with like basics, right? 3 copies of Elder Antientis. These are your dogmatic punishment targets. Very simple. Moon Pegasus bounces a card from the field if they destroy into the deck. If they destroy one of your cards while this is in the graveyard. Entis, you send it to the graveyard off the punishment. You pop an additional card. So really good. One of my buddies recommended instead of Wind Pegasus, maybe running Cyframe Lord Omega. So in my Eldritch deck, I did run Omega and Pegasus. Omega's a good card. Omega shuffles cards from the deck from the graveyard to the deck, and maybe that makes sense in this format, right? Sometimes you just want to bounce a card from the graveyard, forces an opponent's like a Ishizu response or whatever. So maybe you can swap this out for Omega, or maybe you can add Omega and then cut some other card. But I actually never use Wind Pegasus. I only use Entis, right? You're gonna use Pot of Extravagance. You're gonna banish cards at random. Most likely you'll banish 1 or 2 Entis, but you'll almost always have an Entis remaining. Maybe another argument in favor of Omega versus Wind Pegasus is if you have Dogmatic Punishment and you're taking it back from the graveyard with your lovely lady. Omega recycles itself back in the extra deck, so that's another argument in favor of Omega over Pegasus. But I don't know. It's up to you. Maybe I will end up dropping this for Omega, or maybe I'll drop another card. But yeah, so these are your Dogmatic Punishment targets. So these are all your Fusion and Synchros that you will be playing. Next, we're gonna get into like useful uh, Xyz monsters. So we're running a lot of Xyz in this deck. So we're running the two broken Xyz Floodgates, right? Baguska and Abyss Dweller. So Ariana, recall, is level 4. And yeah, I have had games, especially today, where I had two Arianas on the field, and yeah, you can make these. So cool thing about Baguska is it's a fiend, just like your Labrynth. So Welcome Labrynth locks you into fiends, so you can always make a Baguska no matter what. Abyss Dweller, depends if you use Welcome Labrynth or not. But yeah, Abyss Dweller, great against Ishizu Tear Elements. Matchup, Baguska, great against Flu, right? You can't really make either of these on like your turn 1. This is more like part of the grind game, right? You make a Baguska if you need a stall or whatever. Yeah. So these are just useful rank 4s. Why not play them, right? We have level 4s. Just play these, right? All right. I'm also running a useful rank 8. Dingirsu is a pretty good rank 8. Can make it off any 2 ladies, right? Because they're all level 8s. When this hits the field on summon, you can send an opponent's card to the graveyard, and this has while it has material, instead of being a card being destroyed, is it a card or is it just itself? If a card you control will be destroyed by battlecraft, you can just detach material from this card instead. Yeah, this card actually protects your back row, actually. So let's say you have a back row, they use Harpy's Feather Duster, you can detach a material and they won't get destroyed. So yeah, the Girsu is a pretty good card. Never came out today, but from playtesting online, it's a good card. You can't go wrong with running it. Going back a little to the rank 4s, we are running the Zodiac package. 1 Zodiac Chakanine, 1 Zodiac Borbo, 1 Divine Arsenal Azu Sky Thunder. So two Arianas can exceed into this. You can then overlay Borbo into this, attack them directly, because that's Borbo's effect. Main phase 2, you make a 4 material Zeus. Bam, you got it, right? So this is a standard Zodiac Zeus package. In Crystal Beast, I also run this, but in Crystal Beast, it's a little easier to make because it's easier to summon more than one level 4 in a turn. So this never came out today. Maybe it won't for you, but it's just a nice little package, right? Why not? Another package I'm running, which is hilariously spicy. Number 97, Dragublion. Number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Number 100, Numeron Dragon. That's right. I'm running the OTK Numeron Dragon OTK package, baby. Let's go. So, yeah. Remember, Lady and Labrynth, Lovely and Lady are your Labrynth boss monsters are all level 8s. So you can make Dragublion, use Dragublion effect, make a Numeron, make this into 9K, attack for game. So there were many games today where I had both my level 8s on the field. Most of the time, you might be locked out of this rank 8 play because Welcome Labrynth. Welcome Labrynth locks you into only fiend monsters, right? So I've heard, and I will play test this, that some people like to play the DDD Xyz monsters, Wave King Kaiser, the Marksman, and the Deus Ex or Machina X or whatever. I haven't play tested with that. I'm gonna check it out. Someone recommended this to me, I think on my Master Duel Labrynth video. Maybe that makes more sense than this package, right? Because again, you also have Pot of Extravagance. Maybe these cards just get banished and you just never use them. Honestly, these never came up. But there were definitely games where I had Extravagance. I had not used Extravagance. I did have all 3 of these, and I had 2 Labrynths on the field. But I didn't go into Dragublion into OTK because I was locked out into only being able to summon fiends. Whereas the DDD package, they're all fiend monsters. So maybe that's a better package. So again, these are all like kind of experimental. I would say just the punishment targets are relatively set. So those are all the XEs I'm running. And then the final 2 cards on my extra deck. 15 card extra deck. Dark the Dark Charmer. And, why? That is a Starlight Wear. Thank you for asking. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. So, yeah, all your monsters are darks. Sometimes you want to link them away. Revive one of their dark monsters, right? Helps you link climb, whatever. Just a generically good card. Hard to go wrong with this. And, of course, we're playing Access Code. So, no link 3. So, Access Code will only get as high as 43. 100, and since we only have 1 link monster, it's a dark. We will get one pop. Access code never came up today. Dark could have come up, but I just didn't. So maybe I cut access code for Omega, because I don't know. It's hard for me to see like me putting 4 monsters on the field, like all Labrynth monsters, and be like, all right, I'm gonna link them all the way for Dark and like 4,300 access. I don't see it happening. So maybe I just cut this. Maybe I keep Dark, cut access code, and then maybe put in Omega back into my Dogmatic Punishment package. So yeah, that's the extra deck. Like I said, this is the most experimental work in progress part, and most of the time you don't even need it because of extra habit will just banish your extra deck at random. All right, let's talk side decks. Side deck is spicy. A lot of these cards that you're going to see in the side from the side deck are blasts from the past that you've probably seen in my my Eldritch deck, right, in the past. So we have our going second staples, 3 copies, a Lava Golem, 3 copies, a Winged Dragon of Ra, Sphere Mode. This is your board breakers. These cards are MVP. They're the most MVP cards that could possibly award MVPs to. Every time I went second and I saw one of these cards, it was great. I didn't win every game, so my going second game against the Tier Limits game 2, I did Sphere Mode his board. He was still able to recover because Ishizu Tier is like insanely resilient, right? But it gave me a fighting chance. I would have like probably insta scooped or something. I don't know, like if because it depends on what other cards I had. But yeah, these cards are amazing. We are running the dual terminal ultra rares, right, for Lava Golems. The ultra rares on 2 Sphere Modes and then Ghost Rare. I want to get 2 more Ghost Rare Sphere Modes, but I think the price of the Ghost Rare Sphere Modes spiked not long ago. I'm gonna see if the price settled down, but I definitely want to upgrade these ASAP. In the Sprite matchup, I went second. Game 2, he set up like Toad, totally awesome. Sprite Elf, Gigantic Sprite. I was like, oh, cool board here. GG. That's it. Like it's so good. So against Ishizu Tier Elements, most of the time, when you Sphere Mode them, get rid of all their tier names because it shuts off Suliek. It shuts off their back row Crime, right? So a Tier Elements Crime and Tier Elements Suliek require a Tier Elements on the field to use. So yeah, my opponent had Rhino Heart, Kaleido Heart. This is game 2. Rukalos and Sprite Elf. They already used a Sprite Elf that turn. So I just like tributed the 3 names. I tributed Kaleido, Rhino, and Rukalos. Gave them this, and now their Crime was no longer available to be used, and same with their Suliek. So yeah, this is great board breaker. It's so good. One of the matchups I had today, I Lava Golem them, and then I set a card, and then I set Rivalry. So they had only Lava Golem on their field. I flip Rivalry. They're stuck on Lava Golem, burning for 1k, and after I activated Rivalry, I summoned Lord of the Heavy Prison in defense position, which is 3k defense, and Lava Golem's 3k attack. So literally, just burn them for game. I've done this so many times, not just in this deck, but in the Eldritch deck. Like if you can clear their board with Lava Golem, set Goes in or Rivalry, flip it, get Lord to protect your field from direct attack, they'll just burn for 1k every turn. Hilarious. Yeah, I love Lava Golem. It's funny. By the way, folks, one cool little tidbit you may or may not know about Lava Golem. The Lava Golem is a level 8 Fiend type monster. That's right, folks. What else is a Fiend type monster? Oh, that's right. All your Labrynth monsters. Interesting. So let's read what Ariana says. From your hand, either special summon 1 Fiend monster or set 1 spell trap. Wait, so Ariana has an effect that can actually special summon Lava Golem from your hand to your field. Interesting. Labrynth. After a normal trap, a normal non-Labrynth normal trap card is activated, special summon Fiend monster from hand or graveyard. So that means you can literally, like, let's say you open multiple of these, or let's say your opponent, like, whatever. You can literally summon this to your field, and you have a 3k beater that's level 8. And this is also level 8, folks. Insane. Don't forget, this is a freaking Fiend, level 8 Fiend. Yeah, most of the time you'll be using it to give it to your opponent. Your opponent will likely link it away, or maybe you'll pop it through one of your cards, out it, right? Or maybe you just draw 2 of these in your hand. You tribute one, and you're sitting on the other one. You can summon it, folks, to your field, like as part of an OTK plan or an Xyz play. Like, yeah, lava. So remember in Eldritch when we were playing the rank 10 package, and I said how, hey, folks, Eldritch is level 10, Sphere modes are level 10, right? So oftentimes we would give them Sphere mode, it would come back, and then we would Xyz with Eldritch or Lord of the Heavenly Prison to a rank 10 play. Lava Golem is in this deck. Lava Golem is the guy, right? Lava Golem is our Xyz material, is our level 8, right? Fiend, right? So under Rivalry, yeah, you can summon Lava Golem to your field, swing for game. I'm telling you, like it. This did happen today. I think I think I was against the Sprite player, where yeah, I had an extra Lava Golem because I cleared his board with Sphere mode, right? And I was just thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna summon this and 3K more damage, right? It's like I think my attack board had like Lady at 3K, Lord of Heavenly Prison at 3K. I think in that game I had Rivalry flipped. These are all fiends, right? Lady attack, bam, OTK, right? So yeah, do not forget, Lava Golem is a fiend level 8 that is not just for clearing your opponent's board, but can also be used on your field to attack them, like if you special summon it, right? So yeah, going second special. You're going second. You're almost always siding these cards, no exceptions. Every single game where I went second today, I sided these cards in. I couldn't think of one where I did not. So yeah, great cards. Continue to the side deck. So we have some special one of normal trap cards here. All right, so we have 1 copy of Eradicator Epidemic card, 1 copy of Different Dimension Ground, 1 copy of D-Barrier. So why are we running 1 of these? So these are kind of like niche, much better going first than going second, so you don't really want to main these, right? So these are for games where, like, you're going first. You're going first. If you're against Ishizu tier, by the way, you're putting these in. If you're against like Runic, or maybe Flanderies, or maybe Branded, or maybe another Labrynth, or Control Deck, whatever, this is the one that goes in, right? These are all normal traps, which means Lady Labrynth can search any of these 3 off of any other normal trap that you activate, right? It also means that Lord of the Heavenly Prison can literally search these from the deck, right, on the and to be used on the subsequent turn. It also means that Ariana will get you a draw. Actually, no, it won't, because you have to remove cards from the field. It also means that it can trigger. These cards can all trigger the field spell to special summon a fiend. It also means that lovely Labrynth can recycle these cards from the graveyard and use them again. So, yeah, like, imagine having D-Barrier every single turn, right? These are all lingering floodgates that last for 1 turn, or these 2 are. Imagine you have it every turn. And for this virus, dude, this virus is cracked, right? So the Eradicator Epidemic require tributes to Dark Monster with 2,500 more attack. Guess what? Your 4 Labrynth boss monsters all have over 2,500. Lord of the Heavenly Prison has 3K. In fact, Lord of the Heavenly Prison, hilarious interaction. You summon Lord, you search this. On your draw phase, you can immediately tribute Lord to use this. Or you can attack first, and then battle phase, tribute Lord, call spells or traps, right? Depending on the deck matchup. So, yeah, insane synergy. I did play against a control deck, a back row deck today, where, oh, by the way, hilarious interaction. Let's say you have the Labrynth field spell. Let's say you have the Labrynth field spell, and you have a set Eradicator Epidemic Virus. So let's say this is your board here. You have the field spell. You have Lovely with Eradicator, right? All right, you flip Tribute Lovely, call spells. You look at all your opponent's cards, you blow up their spells. On new chain, this goes to the graveyard. Activate Labrynth, trigger effect. Revive Lovely. Either same or subsequent turn, depending on the timing. Use Lovely effect, revive Eradicator. Following turn, activate Eradicator. Tribute Lovely, call traps. So first you call spell, now you call traps, or vice versa, right? So now, 3 turns where any card they draw is revealed to you. If it's a spell trap, destroyed immediately, right? and then you tribute, and then because you use a normal trap, activate new chain, activate Labrynth, field spell, revive Lovely, rinse and repeat. Infinite freaking loop right here. Insane, 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 insane. So yeah, really, you only need one copy of each, because again, it really, you side these in really depends on the matchup, right? Obviously these two are good for the Ishizu tier elements, right? This is much better for Flu, right? Rinse, like you gotta just feel it out. Know what the better matchups are. But again, these are all searchable off Lord of Heavenly Prison and Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle, and these are all recyclable from the graveyard via Lovely. So yeah, I sided these cards in twice all day, right? I sided this in a control deck matchup. I called spells, and then I recycled it, called traps on the second one, right? Against the Ishizu tier limits, I did search D barrier off Lady. So yeah, it's like they're locked. They literally can't fuse, right? Why did I search D barrier, not different dimensional ground? Because the Ishizu tier limits player that I played actually ran polymerization, which I'm gonna be honest, low key really good in tier limits. I'm surprised more Ishizu tier limits don't play like polymerization, the spell card, because they can fuse without relying on their graveyard. Very good, right? But because I knew they were running poly, I grabbed D barriers, and then if they try to play poly, I just call fusions. Done, right? So yeah, these cards are great. This is like a toolbox of traps that you have available. If you're in a Labrynth Mirror matchup, first player to Eradicator wins, basically. Also, first player to get a field spell and welcome Labrynth active also wins. So yeah, two ways of winning the mirror matchup: either Turbo Eradicator or Turbo Field Spell with Welcome, and you'll win the mirror. So that's how it's usually done for the mirror matchup. All right, back to our side deck. So these are just really good going first cards for specific matchups. We have, I'm going to save the spiciest card for last, actually. So we have 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. If you're going first, they know you're going first. They will side back row removal. I used Solemn Judgment today to stop multiple back row removal attempts. So yeah, this card is awesome. So basically, how many ways you have to protect back row? So if you're going first, you're siding game 2 or 3. You have 6 here, plus these pop cards get you into these cards. So it's really hard to not have either Lord or Solemn Judgment. I believe in game 2 of it was game 2 of my matchup against the Ishizu tier player. They sided in Triple Twin Twisters, Harpy's Feather Duster. I'm not sure if they went Lightning Storm. I didn't see it, but they definitely went Triple Twin Twisters and Harpy's Feather Duster. I opened Lord, so literally they couldn't. They drew, and in fact they drew 2 Twin Twisters and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and Lord prevented them from using it. Straight up, it just, again, you have to main deck this. Just do it. Like, why aren't you main decking this? So yeah, really good back row protection. Judgment can also be used to just negate, similar to Solemn Strike, negate the summons of monsters. Oh, you're summoning 4 Material Zeus? Say no. You're summoning Sprite? Say no. Elf? Say no. Like, so if you're not afraid of a back row, or if they don't have it, Judgment can just get rid of a monster straight up. Cost you half your life points, so be careful with time rolls that you don't kill yourself. Because one of the other lab players at my locals did lose because they flipped Judgment right as the moderator, the host called time. Very, very unfortunate. But, it is what it is. So, yeah, 3 copies of Judgment. All right. The final cards in my side deck, and arguably the spiciest, are we're playing 3 copies of Soul Drain, baby. Let's fucking go. Soul Drain. That's right. So, Soul Drain. What is this Soul Drain thing? So, by the way, I'm running the Ultra Rare Lost Artworks. Let's read this together, shall we? This card reads: activate by paying 1,000 life points, so similar to Skill Drain. Monsters that are banished, as well as monsters in the graveyard, cannot activate their effects. OMG. This card, I'm telling you, if you are playing in this current format, Tier 0, Tier Elements format, and you are playing a deck that doesn't care too much about their graveyard or banish pile, Crystal Beast, Labrynth, right, whatever, you should be citing these. This is so good. This is amazing. I can't stress to you enough how good this freaking card is. This card won me the game against Ishizu Tournaments today. Like game 3, I drew this card, I flipped it. They literally could not activate. Right? It's not like Skill Drain where you can activate and then they try to quick play or use something else to get off the field. No, they can't activate in the graveyard or banish pile. Or banish pile. Or banish pile. That means, folks, if you are against Fluanderies, you can side this against Fluanderies. Special going first. Again, this is a going first card. Going second, I would not recommend it because they already built their board, right? Going first, you should side this against Dark World. You should side this against Ishizu Tearlynch. You should side this against Naturia. You should side this against Fluanderies. You should side this against almost every meta deck going first. And this card will win you the game. Straight up. In fact, when I'm going game 3 against the Ishizu tier player, my final match, I literally took out my skill drains and put these in. Who needs skill drains when you have soul drains, right? Skill drains is from when they already built a board. You want to negate all their monster effects. Soul drain says you don't even get to build a board, motherfucker. You're done. Your turn is over. I'm telling you, soul drain is insanely good. Pick this up. It's amazing. It is amazing. Like, yeah. I don't know what else to say. This will win you the game. You're going first. You're against any of the top decks. You flip this. They're done. They're donezo. They are donezo. So, yeah. Even branded, right? Like, branded has, Despian Tragedy. Can't activate. They have freaking Albion in the graveyard for the end phase. Can't activate. They have, they want to use Aluber to revive itself. Can't activate. They want to use ad libitum of Despia to revive Mirjade. Can't activate. They want to use can't activate. Just no. It just says no. I'm telling you. Run this. Please. Please run this card. Please. This is insanely good. Yeah. Get rid of Skill Drain to put this in. Although against Flu, I would probably still keep Skill Drain. But yeah. I mean, against Flu, you take out Rivalry, you put these in, right? Goodbye Rivalry, hello Soul Drain. Against Tier, I would take out Skill Drain and put these in, right? So, depends on the matchup. Against Bishil, probably take out 2 Gozen and maybe one other card, put these in, right? Might think, what cards do you side out? Well, it depends, right? So, if you're playing Lava Golems, you have to side out Dualities, because Duality conflicts with Lava Golems. You can't special summon Lava Golem if you use Duality, right? So, if you side into Lava Golem, Duality almost always comes out. So, going second, game 2 or 3, Duality's out, Lava Golem's in, right? Going first, games 2 or 3, Soul Drain in, some other Floodgate out. So probably Skill Drain or Rivalry, whatever. So, yeah, I'm telling you, this card is mandatory. Just it's mandatory. Right now, it is unfortunately mandatory. You have to play it. If you're not playing it, what are you even doing? Why are you even here if you're not going to play this card? Do you really want to compete against the Ishizu tier list? Because if you don't want to play this card, it doesn't sound like you want to compete, right? Now imagine. You're going first against Ishizu tier. You have 3 of these, and you have 5 ways of getting Necro Valley. You have 3 rivalries. You have 2 Gozens. Are they playing the game? The answer is no. They're not playing the game. Oh, what if they have back row clear? Hopefully you have Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Hopefully you have Solemn Judgment, right? One of those, right? Or maybe you drew a Lingering Floodgate like Different Dimension Ground or D Barrier, right? There are ways to protect your back row, but also Lord of the Heavenly Prison protects face down cards, not face up. So don't flip all your Floodgates simultaneously. Flip them one at a time. So they either have to like quick play Twin Twisters and only pop one of your cards, or like they play Harpies, they only pop Soul Drain, and then you flip Rivalry on them on the right. Be smart about when you flip, right? Don't just shotgun. Again, if you watch any of my previews, do not shotgun all your traps because you'll just get screwed, right? So that's my side deck. I would not really mess with these cards. My side has been, all these cards were MVPs. Lava Golems were MVP today. Spherma was MVP. Eradicator MVP. I did side this in, but I didn't see it. I did see D-Bearer MVP, right? Judgments MVP. Soul Drains MVP. All the side deck is stacked with MVP cards. I'm telling you. Yeah. If it wasn't for the side deck, I would have lost so many games today. So yeah, that's the full deck profile. So yeah, hopefully that'll sate you TCG players. Hopefully that'll keep people who are more interested in Labrynth, more Labrynth content for you, right? I'm going on vacation soon, so you know there'll come a time in later this month where you're not going to see a video from me for weeks on end. Who knows, right? So I'm trying to get as much cool stuff out for y'all as I can before I leave, right? The only thing I would say is like the extra deck is the most flexible part of this deck. Feel free to play with this. If you find better tech options for the extra deck, feel free to tell me. Like, so one time I posted an Eldritch deck profile where and someone commented, "Oh, you should try playing Draco Master of the 10 Years at Link 3 to get the access code." And that person convinced me. Oh wow, that's a really cool Link 3. Let me play that, right? So after at that point onward, I did add in um, Draco Master of the 10 to my Eldritch deck, extra deck. So yeah, if you come up with a spicy tech, or if you think like, oh, the DDD fiends work much better, just comment down. Tell me your experience. If you're able to make some cards work, if you think some cards don't make sense, please, I want to know, because again, this is the first time I actually take this deck to a real locals. It happened to go well, but I only want to improve on it, and yeah, deck building it never ends. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something. And yeah, enjoy Labrynth and Master Duel. Enjoy it in TCG, because now I got you the winning deck list for both. All right, see ya. Peace.